What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady.
Alright, this story was called Accusing Me of Crimes Because You Want to Rule the Police? So, I'm the son of a police officer, and I usually go on a ride-along with him once every few years. This time, however, I decided to go on a ride-along with one of the officers from the next town over. I've grown up with the average opinions of cops as a teenager, then as an adult, ranging from, "they're just thugs beating on innocent people," to "holy heck, that guy was 100% guilty," while having minimal info on both kinds of events. In recent years, as I get older, I begin to have a much more moderate opinion, especially after what happened on this ride-along. I am not a police officer. I live in Connecticut, and it might surprise people to know that we aren't exactly a state filled with rich people everywhere. There are poopy towns, poopy areas in towns, or just generally poopy people everywhere. This is a story about a poopy area in an otherwise average town. Unfortunately, the heroin crisis was at its worst by this time. Here's a little more backstory on this event. This town is known for some of its seasonal events, like most New England seaside towns. As such, we usually get a lot of tourists from out of state or states or visitors from other parts of the state. This time, however, we got someone who is just petty enough, narcissistic enough, arrogant enough, and entitled enough to cause a near international incident. I was finishing the paperwork I needed to get the ride-along, introduced myself to the first officer, and talked with him for a bit, while he finished his starting protocols for the day, like checking email, checking to see if he's been left any messages, looking into current recent incidents, folks. All in all, it was like being with a family member again. He told me the day was going to be a little bit longer because a few people he got called to the week before called his number to follow up on an incident. This is called a callback. While he was doing this, I offered to pick us up some car-friendly lunch from a sub place I really loved. Little did I know, I was about to be followed by one of the worst human beings I've ever encountered in my life. And I've met a homicidal necrophiliac pedophile maniac, for context if you're brave enough. I'm wading through this nightmare traffic to get to the sub shop, then I decide to just park at my friend's house so I can walk the rest of the way. Town is rather close and easy to walk in. I get to the shop and order their special for the week, get some snacks and drinks, then walk out the door and into my nightmare lady by accident. I apologized and asked if she was alright. She told me she was fine with one of the most monotone voices I've ever heard. I thought maybe she didn't get her coffee or something, and just got in my car and was about to head back to the station. While I was putting the subs into one bag and reusing an old beverage tray I got from McDonald's to hold the drinks, I see in my rear view mirror the nightmare lady taking pictures of my car with her phone. I'm a bit dumbfounded by this and grab all the stuff to get going. I didn't feel like doing anything to escalate things on what was pretty much a perfect weather day. I get inside, grab my stuff, and walk with the officer to the car he was using. We get in and do the basic login crap for his system when the perfect weather day turned to dark and dangerous clouds in the form of the nightmare lady. I'm sitting in the passenger side seat when this maniac began smashing her hand on the window and screeching like a banshee about how she's going to expose the web of corrupt police in this country, starting with us. My first thought was that this woman had been in a serious accident and was hallucinating, because her words were thick with what I thought were slurred tones. Turns out she was just from Norway and had a pretty good grasp of the English language, but with a thick accent. We didn't find this out until later. The officer got out of the vehicle and politely asked her to cease the assault on the car. She launched into an even more violent tirade and began to shout how she was going to fix the problems with our country by replacing all the police with volunteers from Europe. This continued for about another 30 seconds before she began taking a dozen more pictures. After she was done, she grabbed a handful of dirt and threw it at him. Bad mistake number one for her. He moved in to try to arrest her, but she got away in her car, which was on the other side of the gate. He radios it in and lets people know there might be someone with a head injury driving in, insert car description here, and she is wearing, insert extremely expensive clothing here. The plates came back as a rental car, and having more pressing issues to deal with, i.e. the callback, he asked if someone else could be assigned to look for this woman. We get going and meet up with his callback. He talks with him for a while and informs me on what's happening while he files a report. It wasn't until he looked in his rear view mirror that he noticed something alarming. The same woman woman who assaulted the car was at the callback's house asking them questions while she had her phone out recording everything. This person had no idea what was going on and thought the woman was a reporter trying to do a case on an uptick in crime in her area. The officer goes blues and tunes, spins the car right around and tries to get to her before she could get away. Unfortunately, she got away again by getting lost in the traffic. Because some dinguses on the road don't think you should pull to the side when an emergency vehicle is trying to pass. For the rest of the day, it was pretty mundane, until we got back to the station and see the Nightmare Lady going full ballistic with the reporter by her side. She then saw me and the officer I was with, made a straight shot beeline to me and began to shout obscenities I have never thought possible from another human being. She kept insisting how I assaulted her, then violated her in the bathroom of a very public sub shop, listed off a fake name for me and told the reporter everything with tears down her face. She kept talking about how she was being stalked for weeks by me and my fellow officers as she walks home from work. I need to restate this. I am not a police officer, and never have been, nor will I ever be. At this point, the reporter immediately asked me what I have to say to these accusations and when the trial will be. The first words out of my mouth were, I am not a police officer. I never have been and never will be. What the nether is going on? This enrages Nightmare Lady. She then pulls out her phone and presents the most painfully edited video I have ever heard or seen in my life. The audio didn't even sound consistent. In one case, I could hear my voice, cut then copy-pasted and repeated 3 times for the same 3 words. And I saw the most cheesy filter effect ever being used to show the officer attempting to damage the phone. When all was said and done, she looked like she got me and had the deepest dookie grin I had ever seen in my life. I turned to the reporter and said that not only is everything she said false, but I have multiple witnesses and numerous videos to prove it. The Nightmare Lady immediately stepped in front of me and said with a straight face, "The police are not trusted and all evidence will be thrown out. You might as well admit to the crime you committed." When I asked what the heckle faces she was talking about, she launched into this whole rant about how the lot of cameras were obviously fake and that the police are not treated as a trusted source for courts. It was her word and her evidence, I use that word loosely, against mine. Then things got good. The reporter cut her off and stated that not only are the cameras in the lot real and always running, but that the officer who was with me was wearing a body cam. Realizing her massive mistake, she attempted to snatch the camera off the officer's body. Big flippity-doo-dotting mistake number 2. As not only did she manage to grab it and attempt to destroy it by throwing it against the wall, but then she tried to kick him in the nuts and run away. This went over as well as eating a lead salami. She brought her foot up and got it completely trapped by the officer just moving his leg to the side. He then began to arrest her and read her rights. During all of this, she was screaming police brutality, demanding the reporter only show the part of her being pinned down and arrested, and how the reporter has to only release her version of the story. It turns out Nightmare was a 19-year-old representative from a non-profit organization based in Norway which tries to offer aid to prisoners who are unjustly imprisoned worldwide. It's a genuinely good organization and I've donated to them before. But Nightmare seems to think she's a big member with huge overreaching authority. Her justification for all of this is that she thought I was a corrupt officer because I didn't hold the door open for her when I left with my hands full. I found out much later on that she unwittingly confessed to the attorney from the non-profit how it was all made up and she wanted to get her name in the organization so she could take over the local police and fix them. She was the delusional daughter of a rather radical activist from the 80s in Norway and was basically a spoiled rich brat who didn't think consequences applied to her. The organization distanced themselves from her and I still donate to them because they do darned good work. Oh boy, okay, so I guess the moral of the story is don't associate with Norwegian women because they'll assault a police officer in front of you. Alrighty, this story was called I'm Not an Uber Driver Anymore. So one day, my boyfriend and I decided to go to Atlanta on a Saturday to have fun because we had nothing else to do. We go to a strip mall called Little 5 Points just to walk around, shop, and have a little fun. We stay there most of the day, basically, and decide to leave since it was so late, but we wanted to go get some cookies. There's a place called Insomnia Cookies. It's on the same strip, and it is amazing. We try to go there every time we see one. We got into our car because we parked parked pretty far from the strip because who wants to pay for parking? So we drive to the area where Insomnia Cookies was, but this place is so packed. So we're looking for a parking space so we can get out of the car, go into the cookie place, and leave to go home. There's a parking lot right across from the place and we drive into it. I forgot to mention that my boyfriend is the one driving and not me. Also, I have a typical Kia Soul. As he's driving really slow in the parking lot, a man comes up and opens our back door and my boyfriend floors it, mistakenly having the door hit the dude's garbanzos. The man starts cussing at him, saying, "Yeah, I just wanted to tell you thank you for jamming your door, my flippin' nuts!" My boyfriend apologized for it and told him we're not an Uber. I was honestly scared because I didn't know what the flip was happening. Plus, he was drunk, so who knows? The man was saying, why wouldn't Uber even do that? And I'm just like, in my head, we're not an Uber. Well, not anymore because it started getting creepy for me. My boyfriend then starts to just look scared and I was saying how it's okay. He just didn't know that we're not an Uber. My boyfriend was explaining to me how he got scared and thought someone was trying to rob us and he sped off. We eventually drove away and found a parking spot, got our cookies and went back home. My boyfriend and I still get a laugh out of it whenever we bring it up, but I still feel pretty bad about hitting the dude's junk. Oh my goodness, okay, is that even a thing? Do people just open Uber cars without having called them first? That's a little concerning. Let me know in the comments below what you would do in that situation, because honestly, that'd be terrifying. Alright, this story is called Entitled Lady Gets a Beatdown by a 16-year-old. Okay, so first some background. I live in a mid-sized town with an upper-class part nearby, so it's kind of common to see some people with that rich aura and attire. Also, I'm 16, and law states you can't work until you are 18 or older. I also look a few years older than I should, a steady bit of facial hair, and quite tall, about 6'7". Anyway, story time. About a month ago, my mom told me to go to the grocery store near our house to get some stuff she forgot to buy for dinner. It's a short walk, about 4 blocks away, so I agreed and she gave me some money to buy it with. I go down there, walk through the doors, and I see a lady with a big black puffy fur coat, designer pants and shoes, and lots of jewelry. I walk past her and make my way to the dairy section. While I'm searching for some cheddar blocks, I hear a ahem behind me. I ignored it, thinking it wasn't for me, and continue on my way. A few minutes later, I hear a somewhat sassy, "Hi, you," along with a pat on my shoulder. I turned around and lo and behold, it was the same exact lady. Me being polite, I said, "Yeah?" She goes in an annoyed tone, "Jesus flipping Christ! Finally, I've been trying to get your attention for 20 minutes. It'd only been 5 minutes, by the way. Can you please, for the love of God, fire this stupid guy?" I get what was going on fairly quickly and calmly say, "Sorry, ma'am, I don't work here." She starts yelling, "Cow feces! I know you work here because you wear the same outfit and I know you're covering for that stupid booty hole." Now I sort of see why she thought I worked here. The outfits employees wear is a red t-shirt with the logo on it, pants and closed-toed shoes. I was wearing a red long-sleeve shirt, jeans, and boots. Now, I'm usually nice, but when I get annoyed, people instantly realize. A friend of mine once said I give off an intimidating aura when I get angry. I also have a major anger issue, and one of the main triggers is yelling, so I instantly got urinated. The lady realized this and smacked me twice in a row, then started yelling, "Don't look at me like that, you piece of dookie!" At this point, I completely lost my poo, and grabbed her hand when she tried to smack me again. I shoved her away. She fell on her butt before I started yelling, "I already told you, you freaking piece of poo! I don't work here! Maybe if you clean the gunk out from your ear and listen, you could be getting help from someone who actually does!" She just sits there dumbfounded for a few seconds while a manager rushes over and asks what happened. Skipping forward some, no cops were called and she went home and I got a gift card plus free cheese blocks. When I got home, my mom asked me what took so long. I told her the whole story and the only thing she had to say after laughing was, "Well, that's what she gets for slapping my son." Alright guys, no holds barred. Bard's hold. I don't know the phrase, but tell me right now in the comments below what you would do if this woman slapped you. Alright? Don't restrain yourself, alright? Go ham on the keyboard. Tell me right now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.